Alright, welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, a lovely night wherever you're from. And real quick before we get started, as always, I want to give a lovely shout out to the channel members on this channel. So thank you so much to these lovely commanders here that you see on screen. Thank you guys so much for your guys' constant generosity and support to me as always. It really means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much. And if you guys are actually interested in becoming a lovely commander yourself, if you are interested in any of these cute and lovely emotes, loyalty crown badges, you want a special role in the Discord, make sure to join the Discord. But as always, if you choose to do so, thank you so much. Just remember, that's not the only way that you can support me. Just watching the content like you are right now is really the best way. Liking, subscribing, and commenting. Everything really does help, so thank you guys so much. And for today's video, I apologize, I'm still sick. I tried taking a day for myself to get a little bit better, but still sick. But now I don't have a nasal problem, so I'm using this as an opportunity to record, because I don't mind sounding a little sick on recording, but nasally, that's not going to be good for anybody, because it's going to be horrible. So I'm just making sure that I can at least sound somewhat alive for the recording. But that being said, we got some interesting things to talk about because I want to finally talk about surface content. Seems like a lot of other creators have been giving their opinion about it. I want to give mine, of course, after going through it for a hot minute because it is a grind. I want to talk about it. I'm going to be breaking it down in two aspects. I want to talk about the stuff outside of surface content that I have kind of iffy feelings on, and then also talk about the stuff in surface content, because there's going to be way too many timestamps. But let's get started. And also, I just want to say, before we actually do anything, right now we have a multi in the actual mailbox right now for the 3rd anniversary. Just more awesome freebies saying like celebrating its 3rd anniversary. Thank you for your unwavering love. And I just want to give them a big shout out because like I think this is our biggest anniversary that we've had in terms of generosity. Like it's actually been insane. And this is probably the best time to play if you're new, because the amount of freebies that we are getting has been really nice. So cannot wait to see how they try to excel it on the 4th anniversary, because this was a big one. But let's finally start yapping about this, because right now it's kind of interesting, because Sephi in his video made a big point about who is this for, because for the last year and a half almost, maybe even almost 2 years, they stated that surface content is going to be something for casual players to enjoy. But no, it's not, because there are a lot of problems with surface content that make it like anti-casual and cater it more towards the tryhards once again. And first off, that has to do with the synchro, because yes, we got the amazing quality of life that you can replace out your Nikkes, there's no timestamps, but now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but every Nikke in surface content has surface skills, and each Nikke has a particular set of it. Limited Nikkes have a higher percentage over others. And Sky made an amazing spreadsheet that I'll put on screen real quick that breaks down everything, all the Nikkes that you need for each element, shows their percentage. And if you've noticed, there are some like seasonal limited Nikkes there at the top, even some collab characters there at the top. So if you don't have these characters and you're trying to go through surface content, sure, you can probably get through it, but you are going to be at a disadvantage for just being a casual player, because they're expecting you to have all of these units to try to utilize it. And then also, if you're not a casual player, you're going to be having all of these synchro slots, but if you're casual, you might have like only 50 or something like that. So you're going to be having a rough time just constantly going through all of this. So for me, I'm glad that I actually have all these slots, but a lot of people are going to have a rough time, because guess what? SRs and Rs are going to be more viable now, and a lot of characters that you wouldn't use in your solo raids or anything that you probably have out of the synchro are now going to be viable in surface content. And that's a big one for a lot of people who don't have the room for it, who don't have the gems to spare to expand their synchro more than what was available to them. So that's kind of crazy. And not to mention the fact that a lot of them are limited Nikkes, like I mentioned. So the idea that if you missed all of this, you're at a disadvantage because you just didn't have those collab characters or seasonals is kind of crazy. And then now let's talk about the biggest boy in the room here. Let's talk about hexacodes. Hexacodes are interesting because right now, outside of surface content, they do nothing. Outside of the beta, this is actually going to affect the actual game. And this is important because the combat power that you get from these are kind of crazy. You get some good little boosts, like for instance, let's say my electric one. I get a good boost here. But the biggest thing here that we need to talk about is the BIOS effects. This isn't here right now, but on the stream, there was like an over 30% elemental that you can have in a BIOS. That's crazy. Because we know with like actual gear, like a good like 27 is like a blue, getting black lines is like really high elemental, close to 30. But getting to an almost 40% elemental from this hexacode thing is insane. This is going to have more impact than the dolls. So this is extra endgame stuff that you're going to need to grind, because this is really going to help, and it's going to change up a lot of things. I remember when dolls first came out, it really juggled how solo raid was affecting the players, because the way that dolls affected like the actual character stats was crazy. So now we're going to have that again with these hexacodes. And this is all endgame stuff. This isn't something for a casual player, because in order to progress like smoothly through surface content, you're going to need all of those Nikkes to be in the synchro and to have all of those Nikkes like already like collected. So to me, that doesn't scream casual by any means. So I don't understand how they're marketing it towards that. Now that's all my ranting aside for like the stuff outside of the surface content. Let's actually go through surface content. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to progress through any of the story grind because I've been doing all of this and also playing Chaos Air Nightmare. But surface content is interesting. So I've gone through a good bit of 3 just exploring before I actually made an opinion, because, you know, I actually want to play what I'm talking about. But, like, just for the record, like, I actually have a good bit of the map, like, explored over here. I still got to go through a good chunk still, but, you know, I am time gated. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, that, like, this whole game mode feels like what Nikke is supposed to technically be as an idle game. Like, this is really, like, the slop gotcha side game. The main game for Nikke is so good, and Nikke in and of itself is an anomaly because it makes tens of millions of dollars a month for an idle game, which is crazy. But now this is where like the typical idle game slop comes in, because this is what it really is. But there's a lot of time gated stuff. Like, let's say I got this alva particle thing done. Got that done, that took like an hour or so. And then upgraded my headquarters, that was like 4 hours ago. So I'm almost done with that. There's a funny thing right now where, let's say if we go back in the headquarters and we wanted to complete this now, there's a complete now option. You know what that screams? That screams rush with gems, so spend to your heart's content so whales can push and casuals are stuck behind the awful time gates. That doesn't scream casual friendly at all. But that benefits the whales and the tryhards, which obviously I'm going to be doing that. Of course I am. I do not want to be dealing with this time gated stuff. So that's another big problem. And then also, just to be petty, the long introduction to surface content does nothing like to explain the actual game. Like, it does some of the exploration stuff for you, but when it comes to talking about any of these like little plants, the core powder, how to upgrade, how to deal with anything, that's up to you to figure out. So if they're gonna update this in the future, like, have a good tutorial first off, and then can we not be so slow? It is so awful to explore this. And I'm so glad I'm almost going to be able to get the headquarters, like helipad stuff, so I can actually transport myself, because it's so bad without that. And I know some people are going to be telling me that you can just use high-speed mobility Nikkes to make it faster, but it's still slow. That doesn't help anything at all, actually. This is like I said, an idle gotcha slop kind of side game, so I want to see that 1 to 10 times boost speed to get through this faster. Because the battles itself, I'm going to be honest, they're not that hard. You just go back and forth between the red tiles to not get hit, stuff like that. It's fine. Nothing really crazy. So why is it so slow? That's another big problem. And I will give them credit here. I do like just chilling out and exploring. Like, I'm like on my phone on TikTok. I got something going on the background for YouTube, and I'm just exploring and chilling. The actual combat, though, to me, is insanely boring. I'm sorry. This is like a huge downgrade from the actual gameplay of Nikke. I'm glad that we have a place to use the chibis and stuff and other characters, but this is kind of rough. And I know it says beta, but like Sephi said in his video, a lot of the times when it says beta and it comes out, it's basically the same. So if this is what we're going to be dealing with, it's just going to be a push to get to the hexacodes and then move on. And clearly, this is going to be here forever, because if you like actually go to the very top, there's like a huge area that you can just go to that's just like, you can tell that they're going to expand this in the future. So it's not going to be really a surprise or anything like that. But honestly, I was hoping for better from this, because I was really excited for surface content. Like, don't get me wrong, the quests and everything to get like actual like rock pieces here, the actual trials that you do to actually get good rocks, materials, that's great. That's awesome. The exploration stuff to get gems and even more rocks, That's awesome. But the actual game mode, to me, it kind of falls flat, literally. I don't really care for this. I like the exploration, but that's about it. Other than that, this just feels like a long-winded lost sector, and I feel like I'd rather them just put their resources back into the actual game than to give us this. I'm sorry. Now, if you like it, more power to you, but when I grind this and I finally finish it, I'm gonna be so glad until December when it resets, and then I'll have to do it all over again. It's gonna be a shame. I apologize if I seem a bit more negative in this video, because I was really looking forward to surface content, and like, I'm still enjoying exploring and stuff, but the overall feeling I get is just like, damn, like I just want this to be over with, because I don't care for it. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to put up with it, because this is gonna have some insane like repercussions for stats, for characters, and everything. So just be ready for that. Do let me know how you feel about it personally. I'm hoping that we get some big ass changes. I highly doubt it, but if we're gonna have to deal with this, I hope we get some good changes. Honestly, to me, this is nothing like a casual game mode, just because it has a lot of things that incentivize just being a tryhard and pushing and wailing. But that's just me. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this game mode. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you want to see it improved? Let me know. But that is going to be it for me, so I hope you guys have a lovely day, lovely night wherever you're from, and as always, thank you so much for the constant support. Take care, and have a good one.